colleagues or deployees will then be able to take forward what has been discussed and decided here at the ANC Lekgotla level forward into various government programs. We have been very frank about the extent of the difficulties that our country faces. We acknowledged where we have fallen short, particularly in terms of implementation of our policies, and we have devised realistic measures to address these shortcomings. Listening to the reports from the commissions that spent a great deal of time discussing a variety of proposals, it is clear that comrades did indeed work very hard to formulate proposals to be taken forward in the plans of government and the plans of our movement. There is a clear commitment by all to work hard to address the challenges collectively that our people face and to communicate our policies as well as our programs very clearly and very coherently to the nation. All commissions presented proposals on what we see as cross-cutting issues such as the empowerment of women, young people, and addressing issues of climate change and the just transition and the socio-economic impact of migration. We all agreed that we will all speak and communicate one message with the many voices that we are here. We all agreed that we will work and act with the discipline that should underpin our actions as members of this glorious movement. We discussed how we should foster economic growth and deal with state-owned enterprises. We agreed that the creation of jobs and the reignition of inclusive growth should take place in a number of areas, and that it should be undertaken to enhance the economic better well-being of our country. We all agreed that manufacturing continues to be a major sector of our economy. The government should continue to support and boost manufacturing as it seeks to transform and to restructure the manufacturing sector. The Lekgotla agreed that we should build new growth sectors in our economy, such as renewable energy, creative industries, aviation industries, and the fourth industrial revolution in its various related activities. The Lekgotla also took time to discuss things or activities that tend to hold us back as a country, particularly in relation to tax avoidance, illicit capital flows, which the Lekgotla saw as an impediment to economic growth. The Lekgotla called on government to urgently crack down on the issue of tax avoidance and illicit capital flows. BEE processes must be strengthened to assist in the transformation of the ownership of assets, the control of assets in our economy. The Lekgotla agreed that a renewed emphasis must be placed on localization, particularly localization that is linked to infrastructure projects and to procurement in government as well as in state-owned companies. The Lekgotla took a dim view of the threatening activities of people who describe themselves as business groups and forums that go to a number of infrastructure projects demanding 30% stakes. These groups often act illegally and threaten violence. This cannot be allowed to continue, and we will take strong measures to make sure that this activity is stopped. We agreed that we should strengthen government and state-owned enterprise procurement, that we should in the process leverage private sector procurement to support local enterprises, townships and village enterprises, but also black industrialists. On the mineral resources area, the Lekgotla agreed that the unbundling of the Mineral Petroleum Resources Development Bill will provide policy certainty to mature, solid mining industry and also assist with the development of standalone legislation for the upstream petroleum sector, which bill was gazetted for public comment in December. The issue of the spectrum. We should ensure that the spectrum release should lead to lower data prices and costs, to realize the extension of access to online services, and also to leave more money in the pockets of consumers who at the moment are paying exorbitant amounts just for data. The easing of visa requirements and related changes to encourage tourism and the inflow of needed skills into South Africa should be accelerated, as it has been proven that through relaxing these visa requirements, we are able to attract more and more tourists into our country. The initiative aimed at reducing youth unemployment through the Presidential Youth Employment Intervention is fully supported by the Lekgotla. The Lekgotla welcomed the 5 pillars this intervention is based on, mainly the building of a national program for young work seekers and finding agile work solutions for young people, encouraging young people to be employers, in other words, encouraging youth self-employment and workplace experience, and expanded national youth service. It was agreed as follows with regard to the state-owned enterprises, that the ANC will continue to be guided by the vision that is outlined in the policy document adopted by the movement called Ready to Govern, which stated that the balance of evidence should continue to guide our structuring and restructuring of state-owned enterprises and our decisions on when we need to increase or reduce public ownership in order to advance our economic program. The Lekgotla also endorsed the following proposals with regard to state-owned enterprises: that the commercial and developmental mandates of SOEs should be clearly outlined and stated so that there is never any mistake on what their mandate should be or is. And where a review is necessary of these mandates, that should be done. We should also examine the institutional design that should continue to support state-owned enterprises as well as to support their developmental mandates. There should be greater and more effective attention on the operational efficiency, integrity, and functionality of our SOEs, as well as ensuring that the people who are fit for purpose are appointed to the various positions in our state-owned enterprises. We should look on embarking on a consolidation and rationalization process of our SOEs. We took the view that there is a plethora of these SOEs, more than 740 of them. We need to look at whether we should consolidate some or rationalize some. and this is a process that will get underway. And the Lekgotla also said that in line with the 54th National Conference resolutions in 2017, we should avoid political interference in operational matters of our SOEs. And if there is to be any, it should be on strategic matters and also where there is mismanagement and a clear company failure. The Lekgotla also took time to discuss our program of land reform. The ANC needs to do more to popularize the ANC's position on the amendment of Section 25 of the Constitution to clarify circumstances in which the expropriation of land without compensation will take place. The Lekgotla received a report of the process that is now underway to amend Section 25. The Lekgotla was encouraged to get this report and endorse the recommendation that the power to determine the quantum of compensation for land expropriation should reside in the executive, and that the amendment should articulate such. The Lekgotla endorsed several programmatic priorities for the forthcoming year, which will ensure that land reform contributes to economic recovery. Some of these programs include addressing the special inequalities through the prioritization of urban land for development, particularly for low-cost housing, the advancement of women in land reform, and that women must be considered especially in communal areas and with regard to ownership of land, and that the women of our country must be at the center of the land debate. Trade agreements with other countries should also prioritize black emerging farmers. As we strike trade agreements, exchange agreements, we should be emphasizing more and more the role that should be played by black emerging farmers. We should also look very closely at blended funding processes which must be made available in order to assist black farmers. On social cohesion and safe communities, the Lekgotla agreed on a number of measures to ensure communities are safe, and the steps that we also need to continue taking to enhance and build social cohesion in our country. And some of these priorities are that we should review and strengthen the moral regeneration program, and government should strengthen its programs to combat sexual harassment in the workplace. We should strengthen our border management by ensuring that the border management bill is concluded and comes into effect. It is also important that the review and updating of the National Crime Prevention Strategy is concluded speedily. We must emphasize that the comprehensive strategy must go beyond providing only effective policing. It must also provide for mobilization and participation of civil society in assisting to address the crime problem that our country faces. Within the context of South Africa's sustained program to eradicate gender-based violence, we must have regard to various international instruments, such as the International Labour Organization Convention 190 on eliminating violence and harassment at the workplace. The Lekgotla also took time to discuss how we can go about strengthening local government through the district development model. We are all aware of the importance of ensuring that local government becomes more effective so that it can serve the interests of our people better. The district development model provides an opportunity for government to serve the people better through coordinating district-based plans as well as budgets. At the same time, the ANC will become more stringent in the selection process for all public representatives, including setting qualification criteria for comrades who should be put on ANC lists. The ANC commits to consistent monitoring of performance of all our public representatives, and that we will apply urgent remedial steps and consequence management for poor performance, for ill discipline, as well as for mismanagement, and indeed for corruption as well. The Lekgotla took time to discuss more global issues, particularly in relation to how we can build a better Africa and a better world. South Africa takes over the chairship of the AU at a crucial time for both the institution of African Union and our continent. This is a time that should be characterized by positive dynamism, a number of great opportunities and complex challenges that are facing the African continent. In pursuance of South Africa's chairing of the AU, we will work with progressive political parties. We will work with a number of countries on our continent to ensure that we achieve the overarching goal of the African Union, which is silencing the guns on our continent. Already, the challenges in this regard are quite enormous, as there are a number of conflicts that are still raging on our continent. We are committed to Africa's economic development, a goal that we will seek to pursue as chair of the African Union. The economic, social, and political integration will be prominent in the work that we will be doing, particularly on the economic side in relation to the implementation of the Africa Free Trade Continental Agreement. The Lekgotla appreciated the continued relations that South Africa has at a multilateral level with a number of countries, and in this case we want to single out the relations that we have with BRICS countries, and particularly with China. The Lekgotla reiterated its policy on China of a one China policy. The other issue that we will seek to pursue as we chair the African Union is the empowerment of women, particularly in relation to the representation of women in various governance structures, as well as the economic empowerment of women. We will seek to spread the message of the empowerment of women as strongly as possible, and will be willing to work with various agencies in this regard. The ANC reiterates its support for the oppressed people of Palestine and support the Sahrawi people in their quest for self-determination, and confirm the resolution of the 54th Conference on the support of the Kurdish people. This is a précis of the decisions that were taken by the Lekgotla, and as I said, the fuller decisions will be elaborated through the document that will be published. And in the end, I'd like to thank all of us who participated in this Lekgotla and say that this is going to definitely enhance the process that we are going to pursue now in government as the Cabinet holds its Lekgotla. And I can say without any equivocation that coming to this Lekgotla is always enriching and uplifting. Many had thought that this Lekgotla will descend into arguments, fighting, walkouts, and sit-ins and protests. I'm sorry to disappoint those who thought it would, because this is the best forum. This is the best forum that is demonstrable of the unity of our movement. And through this demonstration, we are able to show the country and all that we are prepared to serve the people of our country, and that the discussions that have ensued here have been aimed at nothing else but to advance the interests of all South Africans. And for that, I am grateful to all of us who participated, and the National Chairperson would like to thank you with the able manner, the absolutely able manner in which you... And I'd like to thank the SGO in the absolutely electrifying way they organized this meeting. And let me conclude by thanking the chairs and the rapporteurs and all other comrades who enabled this NEC Lekgotla to work so well. The commission processes were so well organized, but I'd like to thank our staff who are hardworking, long-suffering for all the work that they did. So thank you very much, comrades. We meet again mid-year when this Lekgotla will get together again to review what we have done. Thank you very much.
I think we should also thank the President. To thank all of us, thank you. The meeting is adjourned, comrades. Thank you.
We are even helping colleagues.
Thank you, ma'am.